Welcome to our training video on scanning negatives and other transparencies. If you haven't watched our other training video for the scanner, please do so now. So first off, we want to take off the inner cover on the top of the scanner. You can see the little tabs here. Now you're going to find that once you have both those top tabs off, you can just remove the whole thing. And you can see there's glass underneath. At which point you can just tuck that right into the top. Now for doing transparencies of any type, especially the negatives, we're going to be using this little guide. Now this lives down at the bottom of the rack behind you. Basically it allows us to put in our little trays that we use for negatives, slides, things like that. So taking off the top of the tray, we place our negatives inside, carefully placing the tray back in. It has two little tabs at the end, which should slide into two little holes over here. And we'll pop this back down. There are several places where it snaps into place. It may take a moment. Feel free to use a little bit of pressure. Don't want to hurt your negatives, but just make sure everything's back down, and then we can slide the negatives down all the way and into place so that the crossbeam is not in the way. And as you can see, we're all set. We just place that against the guide up here that we already put in. And now you can see as well our slide tray. A lot of people still have these slides around, but there are two tabs on the slide tray for each spot. You just have to kind of place it in under there and it just slides into place, clicks in like that, and there you go. As you can see up close, it's just holding it basically, makes it easy to get in and remove. Okay, so closing the lid on this, basically there's a scanner in the bottom and the top. So going back into our software, up here, usually we're set to reflective for pictures and things like that. We want to be set to transparent or transparency. So that's going to be that same button up here in the left-hand side, top side. Click in, click on transparency, and it's going to give us a few options. Usually we're going to be doing negatives, but we can also do positives, which are things like the slides that we put into the tray just a moment ago. There's also Kodachrome. Kodachrome film will also show up way too blue if we use the regular settings. But for right now, we're going to be using just a regular negative setting as we're using non-Kodachrome film. And so we hit our pre-scan like usual. Let it go through. It's got to calibrate. It can take a bit longer. And as you can see, we now have our negatives in this space. Just like usual, we're going to use our target here, get it to the right size. Now, of course, in negatives, it's much smaller than usual, so you got to be careful. As you can see also, every time we make a move, the picture is changing a little bit as the computer is accounting for the fact that this is a negative and it is updating the color information as we go. All right, we have this done here, so we're going to go ahead, hit the scan button. Now this takes a little bit of time to autofocus, a little bit more than a regular scan in fact, as it is a little bit more precise on where it has to go, this being a much smaller space. In fact, I'm going to skip a little bit ahead there, and now we're calibrating. This can also take a few moments, but you should eventually see the scanning image, just like for our regular images. It can go a little bit faster during the actual scanning process here than usual, so it shouldn't be too long before we actually have our image. And there we go, we finished. So we can click on our little icon. As you can see, it's scanned upside down. We can just rotate that using these buttons. And there is our fully developed image from our negatives. All right. Now you should be able to do the same kind of thing with, of course, your slides, things like that. After the fact, of course, if you could just place the cover back on the inside of the top just by sliding it in and then sliding these little tabs back in just to make sure things stay safe. And then closing the top up and turning the scanner off after you're done. Thank you very much once again, and we hope to see you another time.